In today's video, I'm bringing you 10 facts about Saber from the Fate series. Coming up. What's up there and welcome to a brand new video on 414 Anime. In today's video, 10 facts about Saber from the Fate series. And hey, if you're new here, why not join the 414 community by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. Saber is one of the main characters of Fate Zero and one of 3 main heroines of Fate Stay Night. She is the Saber class servant of Kiritsugu Emiya in the 4th Holy Grail War and Shiro Emiya in the 5th Holy Grail War. This video is largely going to cover Saber's backstory and her abilities and may contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the full series yet, then please come back later. Saber's true name is Artoria Pendragon, better known as Arthur Pendragon or King Arthur, who we know is actually regarded as a male in history. Saber was originally designed to be a man, and there are some adaptations of this in other Fate series, but for the main part, the decision was made to make Saber female. She is the once and future king and a legendary hero of Britain known as the King of Knights, who wielded the sword from the stone Caliburn, but it was eventually destroyed. She later obtained Excalibur and Avalon from the Lady of the Lake. Artoria was born into a time of chaos and war that began with the demise of the Roman Empire. In the preparations for the war against the barbarians, Rome deprived itself of any military forces left there. Once Britannia eventually lost the empire's protection, it then ultimately became independent, which then caused it to break into smaller countries soon after. And Artoria was born as the heir to the throne, the daughter of the King of Britain, Uther Pendragon, and the blue-eyed Igraine. The king, who heavily believed Merlin's prophecy, longed for the birth of his appointed successor, but the child was born a girl, not the one he desired. Merlin then placed Artoria in the care of Sir Ector, a simple and wise old knight who raised her as his adopted child and successor. Though Ector did not believe in the prophecy, he felt that he must raise her as a knight and could always sense the similarities between her and her father, the king. Artoria trained day after day to become stronger than anyone. She swore to bear her sword for the reason that only a king can save a ruined country headed for death. During this time, she was raised with Sir Kay as her brother. Even after she learned the truth of their relationship, they still loved each other as siblings. She then acted as his squire and received training from him, while also doing other chores such as pulling along his horse. Artoria was of course better than him in terms of swordsmanship, but she never beat him in a fight due to his constant arguments, declaring himself the winner rather than using any actual skill. Finally, once the day of prophecy arrived, knights and lords from around the country gathered to be selected as king. They all expected the selection to be through the popular medieval sport of jousting, to select the most superior one to become king. But once they had all arrived, the only thing prepared at the place of selection was a sword stuck in a stone with a golden inscription on the hilt reading, "Whoever pulleth this sword from the stone is rightwise king born of England." While many knights of course, like the story goes, grabbed the sword attempting to follow the command, none of them were able to pull it from the stone. Artoria was only an apprentice at this event, as she was not qualified for jousting, neared the now deserted stone of selection and reached out for the sword without any hesitation. Before grabbing it, Merlin appeared before her to tell her to think things over before taking the sword. He told her she would no longer be human once she had taken hold of the sword, and she responded with a nod because she had been prepared for the fact that becoming a king means no longer becoming human. Artoria had thought about it every night and shuddered all the way until morning. Not one day had passed where she did not fear that fact. She then said that it would end this day. The sword was then pulled from the stone with ease and the area was filled with light. She became something not human in that exact instant. From that moment, due to the sword's magic, she stopped aging at only 15 years of age. Artoria of course led Britain from the kingdom of Camelot. She became a king with many knights under her, including the famous Knights of the Round Table. Like mentioned in the previous fact, her growth had stopped at the same time she pulled the sword because of its magic. This led many knights seeing it as ominous, though most instead praised her master's immortality as divine. Her many battles were the acts of a god of war. She always led from the front and no enemies could stand in her way. For 10 years and 12 battles she only knew victory. She never turned back and was never disgraced. She was raised as a king and fulfilled her obligations as one. Artoria had to maintain her image as the son of a king, as the one in charge of the many territories and control the knights had to be male. While some people did of course grow suspicious of her, it was only her father, Merlin and Sir Kay that knew the exact truth of her identity, and she often had to cover herself in steel to hide this truth. She also strictly kept the oath that she'd made to herself that a king is not human and that one cannot protect the people with human emotions. She had never narrowed her eyes in grief while sitting on the throne, and she settled every problem while working hard in government affairs. She eventually managed to balance the country without any deviations and even punish people without a single mistake. She was in fact so flawless as a king, one of her knights had murmured that King Arthur does not understand human feelings. And it is possible that everyone felt that way, that the more perfect she became as a king, the more they needed to question her as a ruler. They felt that a human without emotion cannot rule over others, even leading some knights to leave Camelot. Artoria though simply accepted this to be part of the process of ruling. Her final battle for her country was the Battle of Badon Hill, which of course ended in victory. Due to the obvious problem of not being able to produce an heir, Merlin used magecraft to turn Artoria into a male, this making her capable of producing sperm for an unknown duration of time, before she then resorted back to being female. During this time, she was enchanted by her sister, Morgan Le Fay, who took some of Artoria's sperm and developed it within her own ovaries, giving birth to a homunculus and clone of Artoria named Mordred. Mordred was born and raised without Artoria's knowing. She quickly grew up due to her accelerated aging, and even managed to join the Round Table through her own efforts. Mordred worshipped her king while hiding her identity, and she was overjoyed to eventually learn of her heritage. Mordred of course eventually tried to claim her heritage and right to the throne, though Artoria completely rejected Mordred, and refused to recognise her as an heir. This obviously didn't go down well. The love she had for the king up until this point was so great that her rejection made her hatred burn brighter. During this time as well, Artoria had married Guinevere, but exactly like having an heir, this was only out of obligation to have a wife. The truth, just like in the tales of King Arthur, was that Lancelot, one of Artoria's closest friends, and Guinevere loved each other. Lancelot's affair with Guinevere was, of course, eventually revealed by traitors who hated Camelot, and Artoria, to be honest, didn't really see this as an action of betrayal, but instead understood Guinevere's sacrifice due to having to hide Artoria's secret about her gender. She still acted in a way of a king, and Guinevere was scheduled to be executed. Lancelot, of course, did not stand by while she was killed, making this one ugly mess. And things after this course proceeded to turn sour. In an assault along her country's borders, Excalibur's scabbard was stolen, and she discovered that Britain was being torn by civil unrest. Despite all of Artoria's valiant efforts to get her country back to a state of peace, she was mortally wounded by the traitorous knight Mordred during the Battle of Camelot. Her dying body was then escorted to a holy isle by Sir Bedivere. Artoria had ordered her grieving knight Bedivere to dispose of Excalibur by throwing it back to the Lady of the Lake. In her absence, she reflected on her personal failures, regretting her life as king. Before her last breath, in exchange for her services as a heroic spirit, she asked to be given an opportunity to seek the Holy Grail to save her country. Due to Saber's inability to dematerialize, she needs to wear modern day clothing in order to travel in public. Though she can wear her own dress when not in battle, she needs the modern clothing to keep her from standing out. Though she can't dematerialize, Saber does have the ability to control the materialization of her armor, so she can be ready for battle instantly and return to normal without damaging any of the clothing. Saber is a strong-willed young woman who always speaks resolutely. She is courageous, determined, and of course set on winning the Holy Grail to save her country. Saber is absolute in following her own morals regardless of other tactics being available that she would consider to be unhonourable. This would constantly lead to conflicts with Kiritsugu Emiya over their strategies during the Fourth Holy Grail War. Though obtaining the Holy Grail is the most important thing to her, rejecting her chivalry is never an option, even if it would put her at a disadvantage. But Saber of course has many traits, and this shows throughout the Fate series. She is loyal, independent, and often appears cold, but this is her actually suppressing her emotions to focus on her goals. However, Saber is secretly deeply insecure, having no real sense of self-worth, having lived as a man for most of her life, and can only feel fulfilled by serving other people. Throughout her rule, she was plagued by self-doubt about her being king, and later coming to hate herself for the actions she took trying to save her people. She also feels deep guilt over the destruction of her kingdom, believing herself to be responsible and that she was not good enough as a ruler. However, Ryder calls her out on this, saying that to undo her rule would be an insult to all those who died in her name. Shiro also calls her selfish for wanting to redo the past because she didn't like the result. Often frustrated by Shiro's reckless behaviour, Saber trusts and cares for him a great deal. She is taken back by his treatment for her, but Shiro treats her more as an actual human being rather than a servant, despite Saber constantly insisting otherwise. They both do share several traits with each other, such as sharing practically the same guilt over their pasts, meaning Saber is willing to sacrifice her own life in order to protect Shiro, just like when she used Excalibur, despite the fact she would disappear. She also enjoys the meals that Shiro cooks for her, preparing his cooking to others. Saber also comes to enjoy her clothes due to Shiro saying that they look good on her. However, Saber does express concern for Shiro's dream to save everyone due to her own unfortunate experiences in life. Her determination to win the Holy Grail is strengthened when she sees Shiro's past, believing that she can change both their pasts to save Shiro from the same mistakes that she had made. And eventually Saber does develop feelings for Shiro, though she hides them to focus on her duty, though her feelings do become more apparent as time goes on. But Saber believes she is forbidden to love or to be loved, viewing herself as a sinner and a failure as a king. She is astonished by Shiro's confession, but rejects him to keep her duty despite her own feelings. She does eventually accept Shiro's feelings and confesses her love for him, but also before she vanishes. Even in her final moment, Saber still wants to see Shiro, asking Bedivere if it was possible to experience that same dream again. Her love also proves to be unwavering, as she waits centuries to reunite with Shiro, even crying tears of joy when she welcomes him to Avalon. It is thanks to Shiro that Saber is finally able to accept her past and obtain peace within herself. In Unlimited Blade Works, her loyalty to Shiro proves unfaltering as she strives to protect him despite her new contract with Rin, even calling him her master. The Saber class is considered the most outstanding due to its excellent ratings in all categories, and Saber definitely doesn't fall short of that reputation. Her initial noble phantasm is invisible air, and this allows her to hide her identity and Excalibur's, while also confusing her opponents with an invisible sword. As well as this, she can release it in a large blast of air and cover other objects with it. She would eventually release Excalibur when necessary, which allows her to unleash a large slash of light capable of wiping out almost anything in its path, and though she lost Avalon in life, it still exists in the present world. While it is kept from her during the 4th Holy Grail War, it is returned to her during the 5th, giving her more energy and allowed her to defend against any attack in combat. And Saber's entire fighting style and strength are based around her Mana Burst ability. It infuses and accumulates magical energy into her weapon and body, momentarily injecting a boost of mana that allows for an exceptional rise of her abilities by constantly releasing the magical energy to reinforce herself. Saber wears armor made of her magical energy, and it could actually be called part of her body. She can call it forth for battle and dismiss it for normal interactions. The armor is heavy, it's in a hard silver and white colour. It includes gauntlets, greaves, a breastplate, and long tassets shaped like a skirt that act as impregnable defences made from magical energy overpowering others. It also can't be permanently damaged no matter how much it is slashed, chipped or smashed, as she can instantly repair it with her own energy, though it does cost a great deal to protect herself by forming, maintaining and repairing it, so she may have to sacrifice healing her body to repair the armour instead. And maintaining the armour is the same as maintaining her body, so she keeps it off when possible to preserve her dwindling power. Saber was born with the magical energy of a dragon, shown by the Pendragon name, as Uther ordered Merlin to grant his successor the Factor of the Dragon. The immense magical power from Saber's dragon blood grants her a very strong magic resistance. that is actually the highest amongst all the servants. It is capable of completely neutralizing any magic that is A rank or below, including grand sorceries involving magic arrays, and in constant contracts not from modern magic of the highest level, but also those from the Age of Gods. Saber also has extremely honed instincts that have gotten her through many battles, allowing her to instantly identify the best personal course of action during combat. This is a heightened sixth sense, and it is essentially in the realm of predicting the future, due to it having been strengthened from the speciality of the Saber class. But thanks for watching. This was my video 10 facts about Saber from the Fate series. If you want more anime fact videos, anime subscription boxes, figure reviews and more, hit that subscribe button right now. If you found value in today's content, smash the like button, share this video with a friend, or leave me a comment in the section below. I'm on social media too, so let's connect over there. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Take care.
Lelouch Britannia commands you.